Hey funnel builders, Mike Killen here from sellyourservice.co.uk, and today I want to talk to you about why I waited so long to use Facebook and start using Facebook advertising. So I think one of the big problems that we face when we are funnel builders of any kind, marketing directors, marketing executives, marketing funnel builders, whatever you want to call yourself, is we're under enormous pressure from people we see online, such as the online gurus and online marketing businesses and marketing funnel businesses, all telling us, oh, you've got to go for Facebook traffic and cold traffic and PPC and remarketing and all this stuff. And first of all, I think it can become quite overwhelming to know where you should start with all of this. And the reason I didn't invest in Facebook traffic early on is because I really struggled with knowing exactly, one, what my money was going to be spent on, and two, to me, it felt like I had been wasting a lot of money on Facebook advertising, and I really struggled kind of generating a return from that. So it's almost kind of saying why I waited so long to really invest properly in Facebook advertising. And because we've all tried driving cold traffic back, right, via Facebook ads back to our home pages for ourselves as well. Advertising works for all businesses, okay? Facebook advertising is a fantastic place to start, but it's impossible to guarantee a return. A lot of online gurus and marketing funnel businesses and marketing funnel gurus and online business gurus and traffic gurus and all this kind of shit, they teach a method that works for them. And the thing is that's impossible to cookie cutter across to your business. What works for Neil Patel might not necessarily work for your business and how you work in your audience. And that's a huge thing that you need to understand, is that it's not a cookie cutter technique. It would be like an advertising executive saying, hey, Paco Rabanne advertised in GQ magazine, you should definitely do it for your garden center. Completely different audience, completely different product, completely different buying cycle, completely different price point. It's impossible for us to say this particular technique will work for your business. However, one of the reasons that I think Facebook advertising now works for me is because I understand how I'm using it. And it's probably exactly the same as loads of other businesses. It's just taken me a while to get there. And for your funnel business, so we do it for Beaver Funnels, we do it for Sell Your Service, and we do it for our own actual marketing funnel agency, potentially branching now into 2 agencies. And where I found Facebook advertising its most valuable is a technique I call closing the loop. So a lot of people focus on the top end and they're like, oh, you got to drive more traffic, cold traffic. You got to, drive all these new visitors to your blog and all this kind of stuff. And in fact, I don't believe that's true. I believe what you should be doing is remarketing your people who have visited your site back to another page. And that's all we did. And we even chose one that was relatively low. And essentially anyone who visited our core sales page for any of our products, anything, even if it was only 2 or 3 people a week, we said anyone who visits this sales page, show them adverts back for this sales page, show them adverts back for this sales page. And that just allowed us to close the loop. So what that meant was, rather than advertising content or sales pages or landing pages or squeeze pages or sales pages to people who didn't know that we exist, completely cold traffic, instead we were marketing adverts back to people who had already been on our site. And the beautiful thing is that it was so quick for us to do, really, really quick. It's a Facebook pixel which you install on your site, which is nice and simple. And I've got a few videos on this. I'll happily show you some of like Miles Beckler's videos on this, or I'll probably do quite a few of these videos in future showing people how to do this. And so we remarketed back anyone who visited this page, and we built a custom audience that said sales page visitors. And we said, anyone who visits this URL, show them 2 adverts. That was it. We had 2 adverts, both had the exact same picture. They just had slightly different copy. And what we found is that anyone who visited, and at first it was only like 20 people or 25 people, and Facebook actually allows you to build remarketing audiences of 20 people. You don't have to go big, you don't have to go crazy. Kept our costs down, kept our costs way down. Because there were so few people visiting, and remarketing as a rule is quite affordable, it's quite cheap, quite low cost per clicks. It meant that we didn't have to spend tens of thousands or thousands or even hundreds of dollars. It was only costing us like $7 a week, even less than that, just to bring people back to the site. And it kind of follows that old school rule of advertising where someone has to interact with you 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times before they're willing to connect with you. And that was one of the ways we did it, was just with some Facebook advertising. Then we started to think, well, what if we drive fresh traffic to that sales page? So we started building out our audiences, and we said, okay, well, anyone who's visited our squeeze pages, for example, or our blog posts, again, nice and high level, why don't we say that anyone who visits them, and again, low levels, we didn't worry about cold traffic for the time being. We said, let's remarket the sales page to anyone who's visited our blog posts, or anyone who's visited our about page or contact page, or anyone who's visited our, squeeze pages or delivery pages or something. And what this allowed us to do is slowly, bit by bit, incrementally build up the amount of traffic that was being re-driven back to our site and remarketed back to our site and driven back to our site. It meant that we didn't have to invest in cold traffic straight away. We continued on our content strategy, which was, producing a blog post every single week and a video every single week. For a time as well, we were producing a blog post a day just to really bump up the way that Google, in this case, saw us as a content platform, as a content partner. And we kind of step by step built it up that way. What this meant is that the traffic levels were so low to start with that even if everyone clicked on it, it would still only cost us a couple of bucks a day, which at absolute worst, we'd have floating around in PayPal. This is one of the reasons I think a lot of people fail with Facebook advertising, is they'll spend like $400, $500, $1,000, $10,000 even more on a content strategy that has a very low proven conversion rate. And instead, what we've done is we've flipped that. And I understand that a lot of people do this now, but it took me a long time to see that this was the method, because everyone started with cold traffic. That's where everyone focused, is with cold traffic. And they build out audiences in Facebook, frankly, in a really bad way as well. They said, okay, well, we've got, this product and we want to sell it to these bunch of people. And we know that they're interested in golf and yachts and GQ magazine or whatever, and they had all these different interests for one audience. And instead, we don't do that. First of all, we said, anyone who's visited our site, I just want to bring them back to the site, just remarketing. And that was so simple to produce because we'd already written the content, we'd already written the ads, because it was on the pages. So we just took that same copy and those same images and put them in the adverts. So my advice would be to really, really look at creating a couple of remarketing ads, just the simple stuff, just for your main sales page or for your contact page, or maybe even your landing pages or squeeze pages. And anyone who's visiting it organically, anyone who's visiting your site organically and just kind of happenstance comes across it, you're remarketing back to them. There's also some very clever stuff you can start doing after you've built your remarketing audiences, where you can build lookalike audiences, you can build custom audiences from people who have visited certain pages and blog posts and create content silos. But just to start with, focusing on that remarketing audience and bringing people back and closing that loop on the main part, even checkout pages. Checkout pages we had loads of really good conversion rates with, because people would reach the checkout page and you have like your cart abandonment series and all that kind of stuff, but instead we said, well, let's just do a remarketing campaign back to the checkout page. And it was only like 3 people a week or something, like crazy low, but we were still remarketing back to those people who had visited that particular page. And it kept our costs low until we really figured out our conversion rates. It also meant that if something really sucked in our advert, we were able to see it quite quickly. We thought, you know what, we'll change that. And we just leave it now. It just kind of generates revenue for us. In fact, it's profitable for us, particularly at Sales Service, particularly at Beaver Funnels. It actually generates us leads at a profit. And it doesn't really require a huge amount of work. But what it means is that we've closed off all those little loops, and we can now start driving cold traffic to the top of the funnel and start doing some really clever stuff. So that's why I waited so long. It wasn't necessarily because I didn't think it was a worthwhile platform. It was just overwhelming with the amount of options that I had. So when we focused it down and just said, we're just going to remarket to this one sales page, just one sales page is where we're going to have our remarketing audience, and then we'll build it out from there. I think, well, then what do I want to remarket? Squeeze pages. I want to build my email list. Let's remarket squeeze pages. I'm just going to let the organic traffic landing on there, the cold traffic, take care of itself. Yeah, cold traffic is vital to a business. I totally understand how important it is. But at the same time, to me, I didn't want to invest in it until I'd started closing up those plugs. And I was able to see that of just 10 people, one person buys. Awesome, 10% conversion rate. Let's work with that. Now let's start driving some cold traffic. So that came later. We just worked on our remarketing, and I suggest that you do the same. In the meantime, guys, thank you very much for watching. I am Mike from sellyourservice.co.uk, and if you've got any questions about remarketing, let me know in the comments below. If you've tried remarketing, if you've looked at any of the remarketing videos, which I'm sure I'll link to afterwards, let me know. And yeah, keep building those funnels.